The airplane.
The airplane. Our starting point is standing on the knees, with the knees apart, and the arms open sideways, shoulder height. The basic movement is lifting one hand towards the ceiling, while lowering the other towards the heel. The head follows the hand, turns to look at the upper hand, and follows it down. So the head moves a bit more than the arms. Remember the essential points: to look for greater ease with each repetition, to keep to a comfortable range and rhythm, to coordinate the movement with your breath, and to aim for a natural feeling movement. We have a variation that makes this a little bit easier to do by taking one knee forward. Interestingly, the knee that remains back is the one that is easier to get to. Remember to stick to a feeling of secure balance, to avoid stretching, to know that gentler movements will yield more benefits, and to recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. Switch over the knees and continue. Other essential points are that the pelvis will go forward as the hand goes back. Make sure that there is no strain in the lower back and that the pelvis does not move backwards. Other variations: we could have the toes flat, as they have been doing so far, and you can have them tucked under. This is a greater challenge for the toes and much easier for the hands. If you find this easy, you can try our next variation, taking the hand to the other heel. This is a much greater twist and should be done carefully. One more variation that is much more difficult is doing the airplane with the knees crossed. Many people will find this difficult just to stand up with the knees crossed. And we can use other warm-ups, like taking the pelvis backwards, to improve flexibility for that. Let go of this, please. Sit back. Take a deep breath. And relax.
Arm circles.
Arm circles. Starting point is sitting, with the arms overhead and the fingers interlaced. The basic movement is doing circles with the hands above the head. You can change the direction of the circles whenever you like. The essential points are to keep the head still in space so it doesn't move relatively to the ceiling, the floor, or the walls. Everything else may move. Here, remember that many benefits come from timely rest. Always look for greater ease with each repetition. Keep to a comfortable range and rhythm. Coordinate the movements with your breath. Look for a natural feeling movement. Avoid stretching. And remember that gentler movements will yield more benefits. Some of the variations that you can do are to have the elbows bent, to have the elbows straight, and to turn the palms towards the ceiling. Here too, you can have the elbows straight or bent, and you will notice that there are at least 3 different ways of sitting. One on the floor, one on the knees, and one on a pillow. When you do this warm-up, take the time to find the most comfortable starting position possible.
The cat.
The cat. Our starting position is on the hands and knees. The basic movement is rounding and arching the back. We add the lifting of the legs, one at a time, and end up with a series of 4 movements that are repeated a few times. Remember to look for greater ease with each repetition, to keep to a comfortable range and rhythm, coordinate the movement with your breath, and aim for a natural feeling movement. Another variation is lifting each leg separately. As you move, stick to a feeling of secure balance. Avoid stretching. Remember that gentler movements will yield more benefits. And recognize the many benefits that come from timely rest. Next, we will add turning the head, looking over the shoulders. The first variation is looking over the same side. So when you lift the left leg, you look over the left shoulder. And when you lift the right leg, you look over the right shoulder. Essential points for the cat are to coordinate the breath to assist with your movement, to allow movement in the knees, to get the whole back to participate in each movement, and to shift the weight. Next variation is looking with the head over the opposite shoulder. This is a little bit more difficult. And a little bit of balancing, lifting an arm and a leg of opposite sides. So with the left leg, the right hand, and with the right leg, the left hand. This is the easier of the balancing variations. The next variation of balancing is lifting an arm and leg of the same side. And then, of course, switching to the other side. Returning to the first side, we have a more difficult variation, lifting the arm and the leg, and then turning sideways. like opening a door on a hinge and then closing it again and doing the other side. Returning again to the hands and the knees, let me mention that it is possible to lift one leg and two arms. It takes a lot of balance. And one more variation called wagging the tail. We turn to look at the left hip and turn to look at the right hip, letting the weight shift clearly from one side to the other. This helps to bend the whole spine sideways, and we'll complete the cat for today. Please sit back, take a nice deep breath, and rest.
Crossed legs sitting.
Crossed leg sitting. The starting point is on the hands and the knees, with the right knee crossed behind the left. The basic movement is to lower the pelvis towards the floor between the feet. Basically, you take it back and return it to the starting point. Do the movement gently, and remember to keep to a comfortable range and rhythm, to look for greater ease with each repetition, to coordinate the movement with your breath, to look for a natural feeling movement, to avoid stretching, to stick to a feeling of secure balance, to know that gentler movements will yield more benefits, and to recognize the benefits of a timely rest. Now, in an exercise like this, you can switch the legs as often as you like. There's more than one way of switching the legs. And the other side may be different. So we'd like to start again with the ease and keeping to a comfortable range and rhythm. Now you could keep the hands in one place, or you can move the hands when you take the hips back and return. You can even lift the hands if you like. And again, remember to switch the legs whenever you feel like switching them. This will enable you to repeat the exercise a larger number of times without any difficulty. Some of the variations you can do to take the pelvis more towards one heel, and then the next movement more towards the other heel. Do this very carefully to protect the knees and the ankles. Another variation is to lower the pelvis towards the floor outside the feet. It will go more easily to one direction and will be very difficult to the other. Of course, when you switch the legs, the difficult side will become easier. And please come out of this, sit comfortably, and take a nice deep breath.
Leg circles.
Circles with the legs. starting point is sitting with the right leg straight in front and the left foot in both hands. The basic movement, with the help of the hands and the leg, circle the left foot around the right knee. You can switch legs to stay comfortable whenever you feel like it. The essential points are to make sure that the right knee is at the exact center of the circle, and you can move the right leg if you need to, and allow the pelvis, back, and the shoulders to move freely. You can do circles clockwise and counterclockwise. You can switch the legs, so there is no difficulty and no tiredness. You can do small circles around the knee. You can do large circles depending on your flexibility. You can do low circles, close to the knee, close to the floor. And you can do high circles at the level of the belly, the chest, or even the face. Remember to look for greater ease with each repetition, to keep to a comfortable range and rhythm, to coordinate the movements with your breath, to look for a natural feeling movement, to stick to feeling secure balance, to avoid stretching, to remember that gentler movements will yield more benefits, and to recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. We also have some variations of vertical circles. We can do small circles. Notice that vertical circles are always down and away from you, and then up and closer to you. Gradually, as the circle increases in size, you can bring the big toe to touch the nose, and the nose to touch the big toe. So everything folds to come closer to that. An even larger circle, you can get the bottom of the foot to caress the top of the head. And of course, this will be done with one leg and the other. One more variation is the free leg, the one you are not holding, to bend it. And this will make it easier for some people and harder for other people. For those who find it difficult to sit directly on the floor like that, you can sit on a pillow for this warm-up. It will make the movement a lot easier to do. Let go of that. Take a nice deep breath.
Cupping the eyes.
Cupping the eyes. Clap, rub, and cup, placing the palms over the eyes without touching them. And again, clap, rub, and cup. And one more time, clap, rub, and cup. Lower the arms and rest.
Eyes.
Eyes. Our starting point is in sitting. There is no basic movement. There are some essential points to remember before we begin. Make sure that your eyes are closed. Pay close attention to the accuracy of your movements. Smoothness of your movement is more important than the size. Make sure to smooth the movement by softening the eyes. Notice the subtle movements of the neck and soften the eyes and the face as much as possible. With your eyes closed, and just with the eyes, look right and left a few times. Move your eyes as though they are clouds floating in the sky. Right and left a few times. Return the eyes to the center and rest. The next movement is looking up and down. Look up as though you want to see your forehead, and down as though you want to see your chin. A few gentle, smooth movements looking up and down in a comfortable range and rhythm, looking for greater ease with each repetition. Return the eyes to the center and rest. Next, we'll do diagonals. Take the eyes up to the right and down to the left. A few times, up to the right and down to the left. Remember to coordinate your movement with your breath and to look for a natural feeling movement. Return the eyes to the center. Let's do the other diagonal, looking up to the left and down to the right a few times. Even with the eyes, avoid stretching them. Remember that gentler movements will yield more benefits. Return the eyes to the center. Rest briefly. Now imagine that there is a ship on the horizon that you are looking at, and that there is a book very close to you, a little closer than regular reading distance. Switch with your eyes to look at the ship on the horizon and then closer at the book. Several times looking near and far. Try to see every point in between the book and the ship rather than jumping from one to the other. Again, return the eyes to the center and rest. Let's do a few circles with the eyes. Look up and then, following a clock, to the right and down, to the left and up again. Continue a few more circles to the right. Make them smooth and notice the subtle movements in the neck. There are subtle movements in the neck with every exercise for the eyes. And please switch the direction of the circles and do a few circles to the left. Return the eyes to the center. Take a nice deep breath and rest.
Foot lifts.
Foot lifts. The starting position is sitting with the left leg bent in front and the right leg bent sideways. This is called sideways sitting. Hold the bottom of the right foot in the palm of the right hand. Place the left hand on the floor to your left with the elbow straight. The basic movement: with the help of the right hand, lift the right foot away from the floor and keep the right knee on the floor. Both elbows remain straight. Remember to look for greater ease with each repetition, to keep to a comfortable range and rhythm, to coordinate the movement with your breath, and to aim for a natural feeling movement. Another variation is to get the left foot in the right hand. So we are not switching sides, just the feet. Stick to a feeling of secure balance. Avoid stretching. Remember that gentler movements will yield more benefits. And recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. And folding, we bring the face and the foot towards each other. Another variation is to catch the right foot with the right hand and the left foot with the left hand and lift both of them at the same time. This is a bit of a challenge for the balance. And you could also have just the left foot in the left hand and folding is also possible in this one. Let's switch over the legs to the other side and do all these variations with the left foot in the left hand, leaning on the right hand, letting the left knee roll on the floor, keeping both elbows straight, and a big window between the left arm and the left leg. It is a bit easier if you try and turn to look over the right shoulder. Taking the right foot in the left hand, taking the right foot in the right hand, folding. It is easier if the left hand holds the right foot. And each hand holding its own foot, lifting both feet. Again, a challenge for the balance. And let go of that. Take a deep breath and rest.
Foot to the opposite hand.
Foot to the opposite hand. The starting point is on the hands and knees. The basic movement is to lift the right leg, keeping the knee bent, and bringing the right foot behind the back towards the left hand. Returning the leg to place, and then taking the left foot behind the back towards the right hand. We'll always start with small movements in the beginning. Readjust the hands a little bit. Make sure everything is comfortable. And remember the essential points. Look for greater ease with each repetition. Keep to a comfortable range and rhythm. Coordinate the movement with your breath. Look for a natural feeling movement. Stick to a feeling of secure balance. Avoid stretching. Know that gentler movements will yield more benefits. And recognize that many benefits come from a timely rest. So complete the one you're doing, sit back and rest for a few seconds. Some essential points specific for us. Let's do a few more. Allow the ribs to fold. Allow your weight to shift. And allow the other foot that's on the floor to move a little bit. If you do all three, allowing the foot that's on the floor to move, bend the ribs, and shift the weight to the right place, the size of the movement can increase considerably. The two variations that we have are done with the head. One is turning the head one direction. And the other is turning the head in the other direction, as though you want to see the foot touching the hand. And it is possible for some people to bring the foot to touch the hand. And again, sit back and rest.
Head movements.
Head movements. The starting point is in sitting. You can sit any way you like, including sitting in a chair. These movements can even be done in standing. There is no basic movement, because all the movements are different from each other. Let's begin by turning to look right and left. Remember to look for greater ease with each repetition and to keep to a comfortable range and rhythm. Allow the whole spine to participate in the movement of the head, all the way from the tailbone to the neck. Let the movements be felt in the pelvis, knees, ankles, and feet. Here, it is more important than ever to move very gently. Return to the center and bend the head forward and back. Bringing the chin towards the chest bone, and then taking the back of the head as though you want it to touch between the shoulder blades. Coordinate the movement with your breath. Avoid stretching. Look for a natural feeling movement. And keep to a feeling of secure balance. Return to the center and bend the head side to side, bringing the right shoulder towards the right ear and then the left shoulder to the left ear, going from side to side, letting the spine bend, the rib cage fold, the hips move. Remember, the gentler movements will yield more benefits. And also recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. Return to the center and take a deep breath. Let's bend the head in circles all the way around, forward and to the side and backwards and to the other side. A few circles in one direction. And a few circles in the opposite direction. Make sure to avoid stretching. And again, return the head to the center. Take a deep breath. Let's do 3 more movements. Moving the head forward and back. The face remains towards the wall in front of you. This is a little bit similar to the way that a chicken pecks. Return to the center again. Move the head right and left. Again, the face remains in the same direction. It does not turn, but moves as one unit, just the way that belly dancers do. Return the head to the center again. And move like a turtle, sticking the head in, down between the shoulders, and then up very tall. We call it a turtle head. Sinking it in between the shoulders and reaching with it towards the ceiling. Again, return the head to the center and take a nice deep breath. There are more advanced circles that we can do. They are possible to do, but we won't show them today.
Pulling the feet.
Pulling the feet. The starting point is sitting, with the bottoms of the feet touching, and the hands holding the toes and the ball of both feet. The basic movement is using the hands and the feet to pull the feet up, leaving the heels on the floor. You can think about it as turning the outside edges of the feet from facing the floor towards facing the wall. The essential point here is to pull very, very softly. While we are pulling the feet together, let's do 2 different variations. One is rounding the back while pulling the feet, and then straightening the back upon returning. The second one is rounding the back while returning and straightening the back when pulling the feet. Remember always to look for greater ease with each repetition, and to keep to a comfortable range and rhythm. Let's pull one foot at a time, alternating. Now each hand will hold one foot. Allow the weight to shift lightly from one side to the other. Coordinate the movement with your breath. Aim for a natural feeling movement. Keep a feeling of secure balance. Avoid stretching. For the next variation, we will be pulling the foot and lifting the leg, as though we want to turn the outside edge of the foot past the wall and towards the ceiling. Again, we alternate legs. Remember that many benefits come from timely resting, and that gentler movements will give you more benefits. After we have pulled the feet the usual way, let's pull the feet backwards. We start with the right hand, passing it in between the knees, under the foot to hold the toes, and the left hand cups under the heel. In this position, we pull the foot closer to the crotch while lifting the heel in the air with the help of the hand. As the heel lifts, we would like to lower the knee towards the floor. And then switch the legs, switch the arms, gentle movements, only in a comfortable range and a comfortable movement. And you see 3 different ranges here. Let go of that. Take a nice deep breath and let it out.
Rocking the baby.
Rocking the baby. The starting point is sitting with the right leg bent, the left foot in the crook of the right elbow, and the left knee in the crook of the left elbow. The basic movement is to move right and left, switching sides or switching legs frequently. Because of the difficulty of the initial starting point, we have a number of variations that you can see by looking at the video. The free leg can be straight or bent. You can hold the foot and the knee with the hands instead of the elbows, or one in the elbow and one in the hand. Any of those variations that will make it comfortable for you to get into the starting position. We have one variation, which is to turn the head in the opposite direction. So when the right leg, or when the leg moves to the right, turn the head to the left. And when the leg moves to the left, turn the head to the right. Make sure that the hip is very comfortable and allow the pelvis to rock freely from side to side. The essential points from all the other warm-ups also fit here as well. Look for greater ease with each repetition. Keep to a comfortable range and rhythm. Coordinate the movements with your breath. Look for a natural feeling movement. Stick to a feeling of secure balance. Avoid stretching. Remember that gentler movements will yield more benefits. And remember the benefits that come from timely rest. Please let go of that. And take a nice deep breath.
Rolling the head, arms, and legs.
Rolling the head, arms, and legs. The starting position is lying on the back in Savasana, the corpse pose. The basic movement is rolling the head, the arms, and the legs. We will start by rolling the head only. We roll the head in a comfortable range and a comfortable rhythm. Repeating the movement several times. Remember to look for greater ease with each repetition. It is not the range that matters, but your comfort. Keep rolling the head and add rolling the arms. Remember to keep a comfortable range and rhythm for rolling the arms. Not as far as possible to go, but as far as comfortable to go. Continue rolling the head and the arms and add rolling the legs. Notice that the legs actually roll like tubes on the floor. They don't slide in any direction. You will also notice that Amy's legs roll differently than Jan's legs. Both variations are good. They are a personal choice. Remember to coordinate the movement with your breath. Continue rolling all 5 parts, the head, the 2 arms, and the 2 legs, and without interrupting your rhythm, please change the direction of the right arm only, so that the head, the left arm, and the 2 legs continue rolling as before. The right arm rolls in the opposite direction from what you started with. Aim for a natural feeling movement. Now, also change the direction of the left arm, so that too will roll in the opposite direction from what you started with. The legs and the head are in their original direction, and the 2 arms are in opposite directions. Remember to avoid stretching. Remember to stick to a feeling of secure balance. Please change the direction of the right leg also. So the right arm and the right leg and the left arm now all roll in the opposite direction from the original. Remember that gentler movements will yield more benefits. Do not struggle. It is not a problem of difficulty of movement, but a challenge to coordination. And please change the direction of the left leg also. By now, only the head is rolling in the original direction. The arms and the legs roll the opposite from what you started with. Remember that many benefits come from timely rest. And please change the direction of the head. Now everything is rolling the opposite of the original. You can start changing of directions in the right arm or the left arm, the right leg or the left leg, or even the head, and add them or add the others also in any order that you like. This particular warm-up will warm up your brain at least as much as it will warm up your body. Please return to stillness and take a moment to observe the changes that happen, the way that you are lying on the floor, your mood and attitude.
Sitting twists.
Sitting twists. The starting point is sitting with the left leg bent in front and the right leg bent sideways. This is called sideways sitting. The basic movement is to lower the head towards the right knee and then lift it in a graceful arc to the left to look over the left shoulder behind your back at the right foot. Retrace the same arc in reverse to bring the head towards the right knee again. Switching sides as frequently as you like. The essential points are to look for greater ease with each repetition, to keep to a comfortable range and rhythm, to coordinate the movement with your breath, to look for a natural feeling movement, to stick to a feeling of secure balance, to avoid stretching, to know that gentler movements will yield more benefits, and to recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. Let's put both hands in front on the floor and move the head from hand to hand. This is a variation that makes it easier to find the right movement. Another way to think about this movement is to take the chest from one knee to the other. Let's switch the legs and do this on the other side. Bring the head very close to the floor. Allow the pelvis to move freely. Allow the knees to move. A variation on this is sweeping the arms right and left along the floor. It is a larger movement. Let's switch sides again. This time we'll take the head to the left knee and then look over the left shoulder. This is a smaller movement than the one we did in the beginning and easier to do. And all the variations of sweeping the arms, let's switch to the other side. Do the same movement we did in the very beginning and pay particular attention to the location of the left foot. The closer it is to the groin, the easier it is to do the movement. The further it is from the groin, the more difficult the movement becomes. And try this on the other side. As usual, all the variations we've done on one side can be done on the other. And all the details we pointed out in one variation can be tried in all the other variations as well. Let go of that. Take a nice deep breath and rest.
Swimming.
Swimming. The starting point is standing on the knees with the knees apart and the arms open sideways. The basic movement is circles with the arms in opposite directions, so that when one arm is in front, the other is behind. Those who are uncomfortable on the knees can do this exercise in sitting on a stool or even in standing. Our variations are circles backwards, and circles forwards, to follow with your eyes the hand that goes back, or to follow with your eyes the hand that goes in front. Keep switching variations to your comfort while I go through the essential points. Look for greater ease with each repetition. Keep to a comfortable range and rhythm. Coordinate the movement with your breath. Aim for a natural feeling movement. Stick to a feeling of secure balance. Avoid stretching. Know that gentler movements will yield more benefits. And recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. Make sure to keep the hands at opposite sides of the circles. Allow the pelvis and shoulders to move freely. And allow the spine to twist. Please let go of that. Take a nice deep breath and rest.
Taking the pelvis forward and back.
Taking the pelvis forward and back. The starting position is on the hands and the knees. The basic movement is to move the pelvis forward towards the floor and then backwards towards the heels. The essential points are to look for greater ease with each repetition, to keep to a comfortable range and rhythm, to coordinate the movement with your breath, to aim for a natural feeling movement, to stick to a feeling of secure balance, to avoid stretching, to know that gentler movements will yield more benefits, and to recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. Essential points for this specific warm-up are to keep the elbows straight the whole time, to find a place for the hands that is good for both parts of the movement, and to make sure you do not strain the lower back. So this is the basic movement, and the variations include bringing the pelvis more towards the right heel, and we'll do that a few times. Bringing the pelvis more towards the left heel, and we'll do that a few times. This is a great opportunity to see that the two sides are not symmetrical. For a little bit, a few movements, alternate, going to the right heel and then going to the left heel. This way you can notice the difference between the right side and the left side more clearly. And the last variation are circles with the pelvis. They are not precise circles. And as your movement becomes larger, they will become more of an oval than a circle. The pelvis does the circles in one direction a few times, and then changing direction, and doing circles in the opposite direction. A simple warm-up that takes care of all the joints in the body, with the exception of the elbows that remain straight. You will notice in the original variation that the feet move inside and out. The idea is to let the pelvis, the knees, the legs be free enough for this movement to happen on its own, rather than doing it deliberately. And this is it.
Tilting the knees.
Tilting the knees, our starting point is lying on the back with the legs bent and the bottoms of the feet on the floor. The arms are in a comfortable place. The basic movement is tilting the knees to one side and then the other. Essential points to pay attention to are to look for greater ease with each repetition, to keep a comfortable range and rhythm, to coordinate the movement with your breath, to aim for a natural feeling movement, to stick to a feeling of secure balance, to avoid stretching, to know that great gentler movements will yield more benefits, and to recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. Essential points that are specific to this warm-up are to allow the pelvis to roll, and you can notice that Jan's pelvis rolls very nicely to the left and to the right as a natural consequence of tilting the knees. Another important point is to let the spine twist. And though you cannot see the spine in the camera, she has a very nice set of markings on her sweater, and you can imagine the spine doing the same thing. Allow the movement to spread all the way to the tips of your fingers. And when you do that, you will find a few other things that are happening on their own. The feet will roll, and the head will begin to roll on its own in an opposite direction to the knees. This is the basic exercise, and we have a few variations that we do in class on top of that. Please return the knees to the middle and stop for a moment. Take a nice deep breath. Again, make sure that you are comfortable. And please cross the left knee over the right. And in this position, continue with tilting the knees to the left and right. Initially, the movement is likely to be smaller than the previous variation. After a while, your body will soften up and the movement will become larger again. Those of you who have very keen eyes will notice that the shoulders are beginning to move along the floor. And as they move, they pull on the arms. And the echoes of the movement can be felt all the way to the fingertips. Please return to the center. Slowly switch over the legs. And continue with the movement. Switching the legs makes a very big change in the way that the pelvis will roll, the spine will twist, what will happen in the shoulders. You cannot be sure that the two sides will be the same. So the movement needs to be done with great care and attention. Return to the center, uncross the legs. Let's look at the next variation. tilting the knees towards the inside. Here we separate the feet wide apart and begin by tilting just the right knee, lowering it towards the left foot, keeping the left knee upright. Returning the right knee to its upright place, we'll tilt the left knee towards the right foot and then return it to being upright. Continue alternating knees this way. One tilts, the other remains upright. Still moving leisurely in a relaxed way, avoiding stretching, noticing the difference between one side and the other. In this variation, one side of the lower back will begin to arch quite a lot more than the other side, and then they will switch as you switch the legs. One last time. Return to the center. Take a nice deep breath. Readjust yourself to be even more comfortable. One more variation. Crossing the left ankle over the right knee. Letting the left knee go away from the face. And tilting the legs this way, left and right. When we tilt to the left, we still want the left knee away from the face. When we tilt to the right, we want to bring the bottom of the left foot towards standing on the floor. When we tilt to the left, we want to bring the front of the thigh towards lying on the floor. Going carefully from side to side, still without stretching, coordinating the movement with the breath. Making each movement a little easier than the one that came before. Returning to the middle, slowly switch over the legs. Again, you will notice the difference between one leg and the other. Continue with the movement, with the right ankle crossed over the left knee. Gradually over time, the two legs will become more and more symmetrical as you continue to relax while moving. The tensions that you hold will dissipate. Your joints will become softer, your muscles will become more pliable, and you will feel more peaceful inside. One more set, going to the left, and then the right. Returning to the center, uncrossing the legs, and you can do a few more of the very first variation we did, just tilting the knees left and right. When you practice at home, do just a little bit of one variation or another, 2 or 3 movements, 2 or 3 minutes will be sufficient. Return to the center, lengthen the legs. Again, place the arms in a comfortable place and notice what has changed in your body, in the way that you are lying on the floor, and in your mood as a result of this warm-up.
Turning the hands.
Turning the hands. The starting point is on the hands and knees. The basic movement is shifting the weight to the right hand and then pick up the left hand and turn it a small amount. Now shift the weight to the left hand, pick up the right one and turn it a small amount. Continue shifting the weight and turning the hands in small increments as far as you can go that is easy and comfortable. You will notice that we turn the left hand when the weight is on the right and turn the right hand when the weight is on the left. And please sit back and rest. Our next variation is to turn the hands outwardly. So again, on the hands and knees, shifting the weight and turning the hands in small increments. Essential points to remember. Look for greater ease with each repetition. Keep to a comfortable range and rhythm. Coordinate the movements with your breath. Look for a movement that feels natural to you. Stick to a feeling of secure balance. Avoid stretching. And recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. So please, sit back and rest. The next variation will be on the back of the hands. We turn the palms up so the whole palm is facing the ceiling. And again, we gently shift the weight from one hand to the other. And we can turn the hands a little bit one way and then a little bit the other way. Here, it's very useful to be able to adjust the weight that you place on the hands by taking the hips backwards a little bit or a lot. The further the hips are backwards, the lighter the weight is on the hands. A few more essential points for this particular warm-up. Make sure that the wrists, elbows, and shoulders are always comfortable. Let the shoulder blades move a lot. Let the back arch and round. And remember to move in small increments. If you have any discomfort in the wrists, elbows, or shoulders, simply sit back and rest. Okay, well done.
walking.
Walking. The starting point is sitting with the legs in front. The knees are bent and the hands are behind the knees. Make sure that the thumb is behind the knees also. The basic movement is to walk your pelvis forward a few steps. And then backwards a few steps. Our first variation is with the heels on the floor. The essential points are to lift each buttock and step with it as though there is a foot attached to its bottom, and to feel as though you are sitting upright all the time. The same for walking backwards, even though most people feel or find that walking backwards is more difficult. Remember to look for greater ease with each repetition, to keep to a comfortable range and rhythm, and to coordinate the movement with your breath. A more difficult variation is to walk with the heels in the air. A few steps forward, remembering to stick to a feeling of secure balance, to look for a natural feeling movement, and to recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. Also, walking backwards. This exercise is excellent for all of the core muscles of the group, of the body. Next variation is with the legs straight up in the air. That's even more difficult, so we work towards that. The balance is different, the level of difficulty is different. And those who are adventurous can even try walking holding on to their feet. The last variation will go back to the first one with the heels on the floor. And what we want to do is to speed up the movement without losing the quality. Just a couple of steps forward and a couple of steps backwards. As though you are learning to run on the buttocks. This can be tiring in the beginning, so remember to rest frequently.
The wiper.
The wiper, our starting point, is lying on the right side with the right leg straight and the left leg bent and on the floor in front of the right leg. Both arms are in front of the shoulders and the palms are touching. Our basic movement is to lift the left hand towards the ceiling and then to lower it towards the floor behind you. Reversing the movement, we return the left palm on top of the right and begin again. Essential points to remember. Look for greater ease with each repetition. Keep to a comfortable range and rhythm. Coordinate the movement with your breath. Aim for a natural feeling movement. stick to a feeling of secure balance. Avoid stretching. Know that gentler movements will yield more benefits. And recognize that many benefits come from timely rest. In a warm-up like the wipers, you can change. Roll over to the other side. Switching over the legs. And continue the movement this way. Some essential points that are specific to the wiper. Make sure your eyes follow the hand. Keep looking at it the whole time. Avoid taking the right hand, in this case, where you can't see it. And allow the right knee to move naturally. Eventually, it will stay comfortably on the floor. You can see from the backwards view that the eyes continuously follow the hand wherever it moves. This gets the head to turn, the spine to twist, and makes the movement both larger and more comfortable. Notice that the wrist is soft, it's loose but not limp. The hand gets to the floor, and at some point the elbow and later even the shoulder will rest completely on the floor. Continue. Very nicely done. Roll to the other side again. A variation on this wiper is a circular wiper where the hand slides in a half a circle along the floor, overhead, and then reversing the movement or going through the ceiling to the starting position. In every case, the eyes follow the hand as it moves. And again, the arm climbs through the ceiling to the right hand. A couple more movements with the other variation. After the hand got to its place behind you, it circles along the floor again, a half circle, returning to the right hand. Each variation will give you slightly different benefits. And a third variation is to take the arm backwards through the ceiling and return it in a half a circle along the floor. Remember all these arm variations when we move on to do variations with the legs. Thank you, Amy. We'll move on to look at cat doing a few variations. Our next variation is called sliding the hand. And the cat will start by sliding the left hand away, bringing the left elbow towards the right hand, lifting the head, looking over the right shoulder. And from that position, lift the hand, take it back, have the eyes follow the hand, and then return the left palm on top of the right, and start again. You will notice that cat's body moves naturally. The left knee lifts and slides along the floor. For some people, the knee will lift. For others, it will not. Each person, according to what is comfortable for him or her right now. The important thing is that the movement is done as comfortably as possible, with the breath coming in and going out naturally. After a few repetitions, you simply roll to the other side. And do the same variation. The right hand slides, bringing the right elbow towards the left hand. The head turns to look over the left shoulder. And then the eyes follow the hand throughout the rest of the movement. The pelvis and the knee move naturally. And the size of the movement increases only if it happens by itself. The arms can do any of the arm variations we have done before. You can do a half a circle along the floor. You can return through the ceiling. Or any of the other variations we have done before. Complete the one that you are doing. Roll onto the other side again. Another variation where the left leg now, instead of being bent, will be straightened in front of the hip. It doesn't matter if the leg is completely straight or a little bit bent, except that you should be comfortable. And again, the arms can do any of the variations. Let's do a few of those. Here you can notice how cat's leg moves freely on the floor. And because of that, the arms can move easily. If I made trouble for her, and a lot of people do it for themselves, and fixed the hip in place so it doesn't move, the range of motion will decrease, and the movement will become uncomfortable. When we do Sugi Yoga, we would like to give our comfort a top priority and let the rest of the body move freely to accommodate the movement that we are doing. For the next few variations, we will take a look at Jan. Thank you, Kat. The next few variations are more challenging and should be done with greater care only by people who have mastered the previous ones. We'll start by bringing the left foot to the palm of the right hand. You will notice that even in the process of doing that, the right leg, the right knee had bent just a little bit. knows it's important to be comfortable. The rest is the same. The left arm will start lifting towards the ceiling, going backwards, and returning. All the arm variations are possible to do from here. Though they are quite a bit more challenging. You will notice that though she's holding the foot in the hand, the pelvis still moves, and even the foot and the hand move along the floor. The ability to still move freely while doing this takes practice. Complete this one, and we'll switch to the next variation, where the left leg will be straight down and the right foot will be in the right hand. And before we do any movement, this is a lot more difficult already. So you will notice that the knee has lifted off the floor and is bent. Again, it's designed. Jan automatically arranges it herself so that the pelvis will be able to move. And the knee bends and straightens if needed. People who keep the legs stiff and straight, the pelvis will not be able to move, and the whole problem of stiffness will rear its ugly head. So, a few movements like that. And again, the starting point is different. The arm variations are the same. The eyes follow the hand. We coordinate the breath with the movement. We give high priority to being comfortable. Still, we want to avoid stretching. And complete this one. Let's return to the original starting position with the right leg straight down, the left leg bent in front, and move on to the last variation of the wiper. We take the left leg bent as it is and place it behind the straight right leg. There will be a tendency for most people to take the right leg and move it forward. You'll see that the left knee is in the air. The ideal will be for the knee to be comfortably on the floor, and that is not always possible. You could put a pillow if you like. You could leave the knee in the air, and then do a few movements with the arms. In this particular variation, you have to be very attentive to the left knee in particular, not to twist it or tweak it. So the range of motion, to a very large extent, is limited by what the knee is feeling. It's a wonderful variation that is more advanced than the others. As a result, you need to be experienced in the others and more careful before you attempt it. And again, all the arm variations are available for you to practice here. Between the arm variations and the leg variations, the wiper affords us a very large variety of possibilities that can be practiced over a long period of time. Complete the one that you are doing. Roll yourself to lie comfortably on your back. And take the time to observe what has changed in your body, in the way that you are lying on the floor, and with your attitude. Naturally, though we didn't tape both sides, you already know to switch sides as often as you like to maximize your level of comfort during practice.